Thank you, Dan. Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing the other talks. My topic is blogging with WordPress, and what I've got a couple things I want to try to do here for you quickly. First, give you an idea of how I've used WordPress in my blogging experience, why I like WordPress, how to set up a WordPress account, and how to configure it so that we can give you a sense of why you might want to use WordPress blog. I'll give you a little bit of how-to, but really this is more about sort of thinking about the why. Now, as Dan had indicated, the PowerPoint is available, so you don't need to take notes. Just sort of, I'm trying to get across the concepts of why you might think about this. So a little bit about what I've done with WordPress. I started out with and I still have an active site on global warming, chartsgraphs.wordpress.com, and that is sort of, I've recorded my learning curve of climate change issues with it. Next is some local neighborhood issues in East Mount Airy. Happen to live next to the R7 line, and we have some issues with some local eyesores that I've been working with to various groups to get those addressed, and that blog has been around for about a year now. And then I took tree tenders training last November and set up a blog for our local tree tender group. We'll give you a little bit of history of that as we go through this. Now, I'd like to give you a sense of why I like WordPress, and I think it's just a great tool for the kinds of things that I've been trying to do. First, obviously, it's free at WordPress.com, and you notice in those examples I gave you, I had charts graphs, Devon Wall, East Mount Airy Tree Tender, .wordpress.com. If you have the .wordpress.com in the name, it's free. Now, for $17, you can get a personal domain name, which would have meant that I would have had chartsgraphs.com or devonwall.com. In my case, it wasn't worth the $17 to remove the wordpress.com. That's a personal choice. Now, we have multiple design options, and what I like about this software is I can have multiple sites, and they look quite different. So here's a couple of that I found on just Googling around, and these are WordPress blogs. This is treeblogging.com, Ride for the Trees, a blog, and here's another one, Big Tree Registry. So those three blogs are WordPress blogs, and they look quite different. So the message for you is that you can have essentially, to my way of thinking, unlimited design options in how your blog's going to look. Next thing I wanted to stress to you is that WordPress has both a blog feature, which is the day-to-day kind of adding new posts, as well as static pages. And the static pages are places where you have specific information that doesn't change on an ongoing basis. So for our East Mount Airy Tree Tenders blog, the home page is where the blog posts show up. Trees and Watersheds are a series of links and videos related to trees and watersheds. Tree Resources is our information about tree resources in the area. Volunteer page where people get information about how to volunteer, and you can see the others. Now, I've highlighted the tree resources because when you press on that particular one, here's what it brings us to, is a list with links of various tree resources in the city. So you can see that with this flexibility of having static pages, you can provide a lot of information to your visitors that doesn't change, as well as current dialogue and commentary and posts and so forth on the homepage. So I particularly like this feature of blogging, and it's a mix of the day-to-day changes with the things that don't change on a regular basis. Now, to me, it's easy to customize, and I think that's a particular important. And here's an example of what you see as a user, as an author, if you're on the author side of it. This is the dashboard, is your menu selection for the things you want to do. The appearance I've highlighted is one of the things that you're going to want to be able to control. So by clicking on the appearance and then clicking on these buttons, you can get to any one of the things you want to do. And then also we have under settings, we can have quite a few things we can customize. So I wanted to show you, when I gave you those 3 examples of WordPress blogs that look quite different, the way that is done is through managing themes. There are a number of themes that are available, and these are just a few. Some of them are you have to pay for, and others are free. And what I liked about this is that you see the preview button. By hitting the preview button, I could see what my blog looks like under these different kinds of themes. Quite a nice feature. Next is we can add a custom header. This happens to be a photo that I took of a tree planting, and that you can see by the post. That's a traditional tree tender appearance. We have posts on both sides of the tree, and that is now a custom header on our blog. Next, we can pick a whole series of widgets. Widgets are basically pre-programmed tools that we could add to our blog if we choose to. On the right, you'll see this is actually what it looks like for the East Mount Airy Tree Tender blog. So I'm not going to get into the details of this, but I want you to know that there's widgets for everything. I just haven't found anything I couldn't do so far with this, and it's all pick and choose by clicking and choosing. Now we can add photos, videos, links, just, there's a lot of stuff out there. We can bring the interesting things to our readers. In this case, I found on the Oak Lane Tree Tenders site a tremendous video. I really enjoyed the video. This happens to be Charlie Phillips, the head of the Oak Lane Tree Tenders, and one of his co-volunteers, and it was a particularly nice video, so we embedded his video on our site so that our readers can benefit without having to go looking for this other information. I think that's what I like about this, is we can bring in photos, videos, posts from other locations so that it helps to give the message that we want to give, and links to the other sources. Now, some of the other features, we can develop categories and tags for our particular posts so that somebody coming along later will say, gee, what kind of information is available on tree tender training or tree tenders, or what videos are available and so forth. So that, to me, is a very nice feature that when you write the post, you can identify it with a category and you can add tags to it. Also, there's a calendar and functions that are just readily available by picking whatever certain widgets. In this particular case, I'm showing you that we have a list of the recent posts on our blog, and we also have an archive. So the archive tells us when you click on November, it'll bring up the November blogs, and December and February. Next, I want to just give you a sense for what it takes to add a post. And this, you've seen the dashboard, you have an idea of the dashboard. If we want to add a post, we go to Posts, we select the Add New. This is what pops up, and this should be pretty comfortable for just about anybody that's done any writing in a computer arena. We've got our formatting, just a blank screen for you to start adding your content. What's nice is you can add a video or pictures. You can actually add a poll if you'd like. So this now gives you an idea of what it is. You can look at your video previous posts, has the basic information on those posts, and you can navigate to any one of those that you choose. Now we can also monitor the traffic to our site and see what's popular, what people seem to be reading, what is, gives us a clue as to the kinds of things to spend some time on. Now my East Mount area tree tender post video readership is pretty limited. We're just getting underway. So what I thought I'd show you is the climate charts and graphs, which I've been underway for a couple of years. With this, I'm nearing a 500,000 visits, views, which I'm particularly excited about. It tells me the maximum day that I've had so far. I had 1,500 views on back on January 28th of last year. It tells me where people are coming from, what searches are bringing it, and in this case also shows me the posts by day. So there's all kinds of statistics capability to tell you who's coming to your site. Okay, now you're saying, great, looks like it's pretty good. How do I go about this? Well, 4 easy steps. You can have a blog in 15 minutes, literally. It's that easy. So you go to the WordPress.com blog. This is what you'll get you'll see the Get Started here. You press the Get Started button and the screen on the right shows up. You now complete the account information because you need to, if you don't have one, you create a WordPress account. What do we need? Well, we need to give it a blog address. What's your address going to be? Hypothetically, Philly Tree Tender. You give it your username, that you're the person that will be coming and going as the author of this blog. Personal password, you confirm the password, and you have an email address that, and you now then hit the Create Blog button, either the free button on the right or the upgrade button, which gives you some additional capabilities on the left. And you press that button and you now have a blog. So I want to wrap this up by saying that I think WordPress is an excellent tool for volunteer groups, like it quite a bit, and of course wanted to point out that PHS has a philadelphiagreen.wordpress.com. So you now know how much they pay for this particular blog, and have some insight hopefully into what it takes to set up a WordPress blog. Thank you. I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to the other talks. Thank you.